Those who treat time lightly often pay the heaviest price. Many people believe they can delay their tasks and still succeed, telling themselves, "I'll do it later." There's still plenty of time, but time never waits, and each moment that slips away takes with it an opportunity that will never return. Today's story is for those who are talented, intelligent, and full of potential, but blind to the true value of time. In a bustling city lived a boy named Ethan. He was exceptionally bright, the kind of student every teacher admired. His answers were always sharp, and his classmates often turned to him for help. For a while, Ethan was the pride of his school. Yet, behind this brilliance was a troubling weakness. He wasted time endlessly. Instead of building on his strengths, Ethan spent long hours glued to his phone. A 5-minute break on YouTube often stretched into 2 hours of random videos. A quick game on his phone became an entire evening lost. Even when important exams were near, he would shrug and say with a smile, "Don't worry, I'll study later. There's still plenty of time." His parents grew worried. Night after night, they reminded him, "Ethan, your time is your greatest treasure. If you throw it away now, you'll regret it later." But Ethan laughed it off, thinking his natural intelligence would always save him. The day of reckoning soon arrived. When the final exam results were announced, Ethan, once the brightest star, was nowhere near the top. His grades shocked everyone. Teachers who once praised him looked away in disappointment, and friends who admired him began to avoid him. At home, his parents sat silently staring at his report card, their faces heavy with sorrow. For the first time, Ethan felt a deep, painful weight inside him. He whispered to himself, "I used to be the best, so how did I fall so low?" The old man looked at him for a moment, then reached for a small hourglass on the table. He turned it upside down, and as the sand began to fall, he said softly, "Ethan, your problem is not intelligence. Your problem is time. You thought you could waste it and still succeed." Ethan frowned. "But can't I just study later, Grandpa? There will always be more time, right?" Professor Samuel shook his head slowly. "No, my son. Time is like the water in a river. Once it flows past you, it never comes back. Let me tell you a story." He leaned back in his chair and began speaking of a man named Adrian Cole, once the CEO of a global company. Adrian had built his empire from the ground up with discipline and hard work. But after success arrived, arrogance followed. He began waking up late, delaying important meetings, and scrolling on social media instead of planning for his company's future. One day, an advisor warned him, "Adrian, you're wasting your most precious resource. If you don't change, your company will collapse." But Adrian only laughed. "I've got plenty of time. I'll handle it later." Months passed, and the results were devastating. Profits fell sharply, competitors surged ahead, employees lost faith, and investors withdrew their money. By the time Adrian tried to fix the damage, it was far too late. Sitting alone in his empty office, with nothing left but regret, he finally understood the cost of disrespecting time. As Professor Samuel finished the story, the room fell silent. Ethan stared at the hourglass, watching the last grains of sand slip away. Something inside him stirred like a flame being lit. He whispered, almost to himself, "I don't want to end up like Adrian. I can't keep saying later. I need to change now." His grandfather placed a gentle hand on his shoulder and smiled. "That's the right decision, Ethan. Remember, time is the key to success. If you respect it, it will carry you forward. If you waste it, it will leave you behind forever." From that night onward, Ethan made a promise to himself. He built a simple routine, waking up early, putting his phone away while studying, and giving each subject its proper time. At first, it was difficult. The urge to scroll, the temptation of games, and the calls from friends still pulled at him. But whenever he felt weak, he remembered Adrian's downfall and the sound of sand falling in his grandfather's hourglass. Slowly but surely, the change began to show. His concentration grew sharper, his assignments were completed on time, and his teachers once again noticed his brilliance. Within months, Ethan climbed back to the top of his class. The same friends who had once avoided him now admired his discipline, and his parents looked at him with pride instead of disappointment. Years later, Ethan carried those lessons into adulthood. He became a successful entrepreneur, respected not only for his intelligence, but for his discipline and respect for time. His story inspired others, and he often repeated the words that changed his life. Time is the only treasure you can never earn back. Once it's gone forever. So, if you've been waiting, delaying, or telling yourself, late, remember Ethan's journey. Start today, start now. Because the clock is always moving and every second counts.